Greetings everyone, and welcome to part 4 of my Conan Collection Updates. Well, past couple times we talked about the books, the comics, and spent 2 episodes talking about the movies on Blu-ray and just in general. Well, today we're going to talk about the last 2 of the motion picture, meaning pictures that are moving, adaptations of Conan, namely Conan the Adventurer and Conan the Adventurer, today on the Multimedia Chronicles. Welcome back. Okay, so of course, to begin with, we will take a look here at Conan the Adventurer, which, as you know, I did a couple videos about the first season set here, back when it first came out in the summer. Well, they just released the second season, well, part of it anyway, Season 2, Part 1, once again from the fine folks at Shout Factory. Now, one of the big issues I had with the first release was that, you know, this has the exact same design, essentially, where you got the episodes listed on the inside cover. Well, you can't really see them. They're behind the disc here. And then, of course, come on, half hidden by the hub, which is really, really smart thinking there, guys. Yeah, that's great. Why didn't you just list them all on this side? I don't know. Anyway, the good news is, okay, last time, the listing on the insert did not match the order that they were on the discs. This time it does appear to match, which is good. However, it's not all perfect. There are some spelling mistakes on the insert, and consequently there's different spellings on the menus. I have not gone through all 13 episodes that are on this set yet, so I can't tell for sure if there are any other mistakes along the way. But, you know, and also the back cover again uses kind of lackluster low-res looking screenshots, which is unfortunate. I mean, at that size of image, you should be able to pull a nice clean screen grab and have it look half decent. I don't know why that looks so fuzzy and crappy. There's really no reason for that whatsoever. I do like the cover art, however. I mentioned last time I do like the cover art on the first volume, and I also like the cover art on the second volume. You got Conan and his companions there with the evil visage of Rathamon looking at them from behind. So, pretty cool stuff. Honestly, I don't know what more I can say about Conan the Adventurer, the animated series that I haven't already covered in past volumes. Oh, excuse me. It's about 1:30 in the morning when I'm filming this, and I'm kind of tired, I guess. I'm a night owl anyway, but, you know, whatever. Yeah, so essentially it looks like they're just going to split it up into 13 episode sets. Now, of course, this one was released when the new Conan theatrical movie was put out in theaters, so it was released to coincide with / cash in on that. And this one was released when the new Conan movie was put out on Blu-ray and DVD, the exact same day, actually. So it was like the day of Conan on November 22nd. It was awesome. So here's the thing, though. Like, while these 2 volumes were obvious cash-ins and pretty simple, basic timing there, like, okay, we'll put one out when it comes out in theaters, we'll put the second volume out when it comes out on Blu-ray, and then we're good to go. However, that leaves the remainder of the series kind of up in the air. I mean, I've said in the past, I'll say it again, if you like a show and you want it released, support the individual releases and buy them as they come out, because if you wait, holding out for a complete series set, waiting only harms the chances that that will happen. So in the case of Conan the Adventurer, we basically are looking at 3 more sets to finish this series, and then 1 set to cover the follow-up series, Conan and the Young Warriors, and then we'll be good to go. Fuck, why am I yawning so much? I had like 12 hours of sleep last night. I cannot imagine why I'd be so tired. So that pretty much covers Conan the Adventurer. So that brings us to Conan The Adventurer. Yes, this is of course the live-action series with Ralph Moeller. Yeah, I know a lot of hardcore Conan fans hate this series. Now, you got to understand, this came out at a time when shows like Hercules and Xena were at the height of their popularity. And essentially this is another one of those types of shows, just in this case using the Conan character and settings. Now, with Conan the Adventurer, it kind of, how can I describe it? It has kind of the tongue-in-cheek aspects of Hercules and Xena. You do have, some comic relief characters, a little more humorous, a little lighter than, the dark and gritty original stories and movies, of course. But at the same time, there are episodes of the show that are directly adapted from the Robert E. Howard stories. Now they are modified considerably. Like, for example, the pilot, the two-part pilot story. Where is it here? Yeah, Heart of the Elephant. Now, you remember that picture we were looking at in the collected stories of Conan, where Conan was going to look at the elephant god? Well, look at that. There he is. He's in the frickin' pilot. Yeah, so that's pretty cool. And there was another one, I can't remember specific. I actually marathoned this entire series over the course of a week. Well, probably not even a week, just a few days. And then, but I remember in particular there was one story where they encountered an ancient temple and there were mysterious statues in it, and the statues came to life in the moonlight. That sound familiar? Yes, they did Iron Shadows in the Moonlight as well. Now, it's heavily altered. It's basically, instead of just warriors who were frozen during the day and then come to life in the moonlight, it was sort of like these evil sorcerers or something. They had like a whole other convoluted plot about it. But it was clearly based on that. And I'm sure that had I read more of the original stories prior to watching this, I would have recognized a lot of other elements. So one might actually argue that, love it or hate it, this is actually the closest we've had to adapting the original stories for the screen, because a lot of the episodes in this actually are adapted from the original stories. So let's take a quick look at the disc art here. So this was put out by Image Entertainment. The entire series was only 22 episodes, one season. Okay, so let's take a look at the packaging here. First off, of course, we have Ralph Moeller as Conan. One thing I found odd about this, and this has confused a lot of people, is the DVD set, and sometimes in the TV listings, it's listed as Conan The Adventurer. Yet, when you watch the actual show, never at any point is it ever called Conan The Adventurer. It's only ever called Conan, and that's it. Not Conan the Barbarian, Conan the Adventurer, Conan the Destroyer, Conan the Cimmerian, nothing. Just Conan. That's it. So I have no idea why they added that title in here and why certain TV listings call it that, because it just makes people think it's going to be the cartoon, and then they see that it's not, and they're disappointed because they wanted to watch the cartoon, but whatever. Anyway, so this, oh, by the way, and this here is Red Sonja. Yeah, she appears in a whole entire one episode. Yeah. Anyway, so here we have Corella, which is basically a thief that Conan meets up with over the course of the series. She appears in several episodes. Honestly, the actress who played her, I think, would have been a way better Red Sonja than the actress who played Red Sonja. I think her character was more like Red Sonja than Red Sonja in the thing. You know, I think she was just an awesome character, and I think she's one of the high points of the series, to be perfectly honest. Anytime she was in an episode, I was like, we're going to have some serious, like, sexual tension and kick-assery. I mean, this is one of these typical tough chicks that you see in the Conan stories from time to time that can really hold her own in a fight. The closest Conan original story character I can think of that would be the equivalent of her would be Valeria from Red Nails. And anyone who's read the original stories will know who I'm talking about. She's that kind of tough chick. The only difference is she's a thief, and she's got more of a thieves background. But in the original stories, Conan was a thief for a while too, so, you know, that's cool. Then we have Otley, who was played... Sorry, I have the screen up here on IMDb. Danny Woodburn, yes. Danny Woodburn, you'll probably recognize him from a number of other things. He was Big Figure in Watchmen. He was one of Kramer's friends in Seinfeld. He's basically the comic relief character in this, and he actually is quite entertaining. And there's another picture of Rolf just being badass and Conan-y. And here we have Bayou, played by T.J. Storm. Now, T.J. Storm, I don't know, has really done much else of note since this. He's mostly, I think, a male model. I really liked him as Bayou, actually. He's sort of like the, he kind of reminds me a little bit of Zula from the cartoon. He's basically a sort of a beast-like warrior. I mean, he's just really good with swords and stuff, but he likes to growl and snarl as he's fighting. And then here we have another shot of Rolf being all badass as Conan, so that's pretty cool. And here we get a better look at Red Sonja. Now, Red Sonja was not actually a creation of the original stories. Red Sonja was an original creation of Roy Thomas's from the comics, and has later, you know, it's kind of notable in that it seems to have worked herself quite nicely into the popular Conan lore, even though she's not a creation of Robert E. Howard. I think there was a character named Red Sonja in it, but no relation to the Red Sonja of the comics. And then here finally we have His Azul, who is the primary villain. See, now that guy is an evil sorcerer. He's an evil sorcerer with a chip on his shoulder, and he's out to get Conan the whole time. And he has this like talking skull in a pool that likes rubies, that basically gives him advice and serves as his oracle throughout. An interesting little side note, His Azul is played by, what's his face? It goes by a couple of names. It says A.C. Quart Hadosht, but it's not. It's something else. Let me just, Arthur Burghardt, there we are. Arthur Burghardt, who is a name that will be familiar to fans of Sunbow animation, in particular as the voice of Destro. And in fact, as he does the voice of the Skull Who Talks, he does kind of slip into the Destro voice from time to time. And when he did that for the first time in the show, I was just like, oh my god, it's Destro! Awesome! So, yeah, so sadly, Conan only lasted one season. I really enjoyed it, personally. I mean, I fully accept that it is not the dark, gritty adventure series that most fans wanted, I guess. You know, maybe if HBO got their hands on it, we could get a proper adaptation of Conan. That would be nice. But, you know, for what it was, just light fantasy adventure, action adventure, I thought it was fine. You know, I think it's an entertaining show. It's a lot of fun in that same way that Hercules and Xena was, and other shows of that era. And most importantly, it actually does feature a lot of familiar elements taken straight out of the Robert E. Howard stories. They may not be adapted particularly well, or like as faithfully as we would like, but they're there. And that, to me, was a very pleasant surprise to see that in there. So I think after I finish reading the stories, I'm probably going to go back and watch this again and check out some more of it. So, but again, it does borrow quite a few elements from the movies. I mean, you'll notice the logo here is almost identical to the movie logo. If you take a look, it does the exact same thing where the sword is interweaving through. Oh, actually, it's the exact same sword. If you look, they completely ripped off the logo from the movie and just recolored it. I didn't actually notice that before, but yeah. And again, Conan has a very special sword. In this case, his sword wasn't made by his father or anything like that. It's basically just an ancient Atlantean sword that he discovers in the first episode. And to be fair, it's actually a pretty cool scene where he discovers the sword. But then, once again, they fall into the whole thing of putting far too much emphasis on the awesomeness of the sword, and everybody's trying to get his sword, and it's like, oh, he's powerless without his sword. Actually, there is a pretty cool episode where he's pit against another warrior, and the whole idea is to prove that he's powerless without his sword, and, well, they discover the hard way that, no, he's not powerless without his sword. He's frickin' Conan. I mean, come on. Yeah. So, whatever. It is what it is. I know a lot of people really hate the live-action series with a passion. A lot of people really hate the cartoon with a passion because, you know, these to them are basically versions of Conan that are so watered down that they don't even deserve acknowledgement. But I enjoy both of them for just the lighthearted fantasy adventure fare that they are. And honestly, I think Rolf Moeller makes a great Conan. You know, I mean, he's big and bulky like Arnold was. In fact, I'd even go so far as to say maybe he's a little bit bigger. But you know, and he has the Germanic accent. But he, I don't know, he's just very likable in the role, you know, and he can move that sword, man. I tell you, he can move it. He can swing that sword like nobody's business. I mean, he has no problem mimicking a lot of Schwarzenegger's moves from the movies. So that was pretty cool. Yeah, I don't know. So I would recommend it if you're looking for some light fantasy fare with some nods to the stories. You might want to check out the live action series, but do expect it to be very watered down with very cheesy, horrible looking early 90s, or I guess late 90s television budget, low budget television CG monsters. Yeah, there seems to be an overabundance of really badly done CG monsters in it. Yeah. I think that's the other thing I enjoy about it is there is a definite cheese factor to it. Whether it was intentional or not is hard to say, but I enjoy that cheese factor to it, and I like the cast. I mean, it really is a likable cast of characters in it, even though once again we have kind of like it's kind of like Conan the Destroyer, the series, if you will, where basically it's Conan with a constant set of companions. Oh, I should mention also one thing people commented on was the fact that his hair color wasn't quite right, because in the original stories Conan is described as having black hair and blue eyes. But interesting to note, for I think 2 or 3 episodes of the series, you may, if you keep an eye out, may notice they actually did dye his hair black for a few episodes. He does have naturally blue eyes, but they actually dyed his hair black for a few episodes, and I was kind of pleased by that. I was like, hey, they dyed his hair to make him look more like Conan. But then, you know, a few episodes later, the hair dye was gone. He was back to his natural, just sort of light brown hair. But oh well, whatever. But in those 2 or 3 black-haired episodes, he really looks like freaking Conan. Yeah. So anyway, cool stuff. Alrighty, well, I guess that's it from me to you for now. I don't know what more I can say about the latest additions to the Conan collection. Yes. If I find any big glaring errors in the new volume of the cartoon, I'll be sure to make mention of them. If I don't, then I won't. I mean, there's really not much point in doing a video about it if I've basically already done a video about it, right? So, yeah. But, yeah, I guess that's it. Alrighty, that's it from me to you for now. So until next time, thanks for watching, and sayonara. Greetings everyone, and welcome to the conclusion of our Conan updates. Yeah, well, this time around, let's see.